Hello, friends, and good evening. This is George E. Green, founder and CEO of the Mindfulness Advantage, and this is the Mindfulness Advantage Show. I am so honored today to be playing with two of my favorite friends on the Plus. Christine Bowen will be joining us shortly as she and I explore personal mastery, evolution, and mindfulness, your mindset of sustainable, lasting change. And Christine's website is christinebowen.com. One technical note here: I am seeing my avatar on the screen, so hopefully I can still be seen and heard. Let's move forward. Our wing woman and producer is Rain Dowell, and we are really honored to be playing with Rain this evening as well. So, Rain, if you can just jump in for a second and say hello, and also, I understand. Okay, so we're just working out the technical details. The avatar I'm seeing is Rain. Okay, and Rain is mainly on the plane in Spain. So we had the greatest fun this evening in the green room, and that's really the energy I choose to bring to our shows. Our commitment here is serious. Our commitment is literally to raise the quality of and the culture on Google Plus, to engage and invite you to be important parts of our conversation. So come up off the sidelines and get in the chat, in the comments with us, because you're a part of this conversation. And our commitment to you is to create resonant content that matters to you, and we want to know what matters most to you as well. So that's part of the conversation. So to sort of set the tone, this is just our opening premiere show. It's more than a just. I'm jazzed. I'm caffeinated. So what happens in the future? We're laying the foundation for a series of shows where we're going to map specific qualities, traits, skill sets, and habits of great leaders, visionaries, masters, maestros, and champions, all based on their ability to focus the entirety of their attention on one thing and one thing at a time, and specifically on their outcome and their goal. So there is a map that we're bringing that I've developed through the Mindfulness Advantage, a map that allows you to build new skills, new mindset, where rather than the old way of making a commitment and finding yourself fading over time in your commitment. We're going to talk about that a little bit today, but it's a new level of commitment. It's all about high agreements, first and foremost, with yourself. Roy Montero has a great comment. Hey, Christine L. Bowen and George Green, I'm ready to be wowed. All right, Roy, our invitation to you, brother, is to make sure that your tray table is in the upright and locked position and cinch down your seatbelt. Trina Paulus says, and hope for the flowers are here. Yay! All right, so we're going to begin with our first segment. We'll be bringing Christine L. Bowen on in just a moment. But our first segment is your moments in mindfulness. There's something powerful and inspiring in the visionary process of dreaming, of ideation, and imagination that, when held, fed, and cherished daily, becomes realization. The keys to your own sustainable change, to your own personal evolution and personal mastery, are quite simply learning how to focus the entirety of your heart's fire, the entirety of your mind's attention upon your dream, your goal, your vision, and commit and recommit to your full realization and fulfillment over and over and over until you meet and exceed your highest expectations. The qualities and skill sets, the traits and habits all great leaders, champions, and masters seek to cultivate and claim are the very same qualities and results that are directly cultivated via any daily mindfulness practice. We now know with scientific certainty that with as few as 10 minutes of daily mindfulness practice, you can measurably grow the density and neural connections in critical areas of your brain by as much as 25% in just 8 weeks. Our friend Carl Jung once said, "The goal of human development is wholeness, not perfection." To become whole is a process of making peace with your entire being, your entire self, masculine and feminine, light and dark, spiritual, material, adult, and child. Quite literally, the mindfulness advantage is anchored in the philosophy of power with rather than power over. There are thousands of shadowy inner arguments active within your unconscious mind that never served you and never will. Thousands of inner narratives that affect their unconscious influence upon you, breeding doubts, investments in and consents to limit, and more. The keys to your own zone of excellence, of sustainable, lasting change, your personal evolution and mastery, all depend on your sitting with and making peace with your shadow. All depend on you doing your daily inward training, transforming and upgrading your own unconscious inner oppositions into agreements and high alignments. This is your new playground, your mindfulness advantage. Explore and embrace the philosophy of embodiment of power with rather than power over. And through your making peace comes authentic power. Through your mindful and authentic power comes your own excellence, mastery, and your desired sustainable change. Let's play. I am so delighted and honored to have Christine L. Bowen as my guest. You can find Christine at www.christinelbowen.com. And Christine, thank you so much for joining us tonight in our premiere program.
Thank you, Gio. I'm really honored to be here and play on this new playground with you and everyone who joins hands with us and hearts.
So, friends, Christine and I have shared just a few conversations. We are in the beginning stages of really knowing and understanding and exploring our conscious and mindful partnership. And we're finding great delight in so much resonance and commonality, including we discovered, I think, today that we use the same meme, the same invitation of join us on your new playground. So it's really important that in the context of what we're talking about, making it very clear that, one, we are advocates of mindfulness, and we are advocates of enrolling our friends and professionals in assisting us in our visioning and our building our outcomes, our desired outcomes. So if I may speak for both of us, we are available at any time, and we invite you to join us in a one-on-one call, a complimentary consultation. That's what we do, and that is so that we together can figure out if it's a good fit or not. Ultimately, today in our show, our outcome is to provide you with provocative ideas as I love to say, we're going to plant some seeds, shake some trees, and set some fires. Um, and hopefully we will map some possible outcomes for you that will invite you into new territory and onto our new playground. So Christine, talk a little bit, if you would, about what you do with CLB, create uh, dyslexia, create, live, be.
Yes. Well, my Create Live Be is a philosophy turned into a mindset mission. And I, like you, Gio, I embark upon my journey of life very organically. I'm led by my heart, led by the divine, and I just allow the answers to come to me. So about almost 5 years ago, I embarked upon a self-discovery process. Really, I was just aiming to brand myself, and discovered the beautiful world of mindfulness through meditation. And through meditation, Create Live Be was birthed into my spirit, and it is a philosophy that I live by. Create your reality with vision, live your reality through action, be your reality as a result. That was the philosophy that allowed me to start evolving. And as I moved through the process and the journey, I discovered that it's much bigger than just a philosophy. It's a part of a mission to help raise consciousness globally, with starting with our mind. My favorite selfie quote is, with the right mindset, anything is possible. And the right mindset, of course, can be defined. And I'm sure we're going to go into that tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. That is such a key piece, and it's another thing that we share and that I share with anybody who's asking me, well, what do you do, or what are you on fire about? And especially with my client partners, one of the first things I enroll them in on our new playground is to make it very clear, we are doing this together. So your story is parallel to mine in that the mindfulness practice I teach is my own practice. It came through curiosity and inner inquiry, and it is a synthesis that is anchored in science and neuromedicine, and also walks hand in hand with the ancient lineages of Eastern meditation and mindfulness. And that, so the reality is, and this is a beautiful part of my concept of playground, is when people opt in to play with me and do the mentoring and training systems, it's a collaborative effort. And because of the way we create an even playing field, I open myself to learning as much from you or them as vice versa. And that's an ongoing conversation that we cultivate. One of my passions is partnership and conscious partnership anchored in mindfulness. And so that's an opportunity for me to enroll people in a new level of partnership. So one, organic; two, it's our personal practice that we were gifted with in some way. And I think it really it's such an irresistible invitation for us to bring our heart into every relationship, and especially our professional relationships. So yeah, I'm going to toss it back to you. What are your thoughts?
You are super boom, Gio. I love what you just shared. Yeah, we're definitely on the same page. I do believe as well, this is why we're in partnership, divine partnership right now, that there are divine partners out there for us. My beautiful divine connection, Roy Montero, I just gave it away. That's what we term it as, divine connections.
Yes.
Finding and being found by the right people, the people who are here to either help facilitate us in our journey, or we play a role in helping them on their journey, or sometimes it's a give and take, equal partnership. So I'm definitely in alignment with that, because we do have unique qualities, and it takes mindfulness consistently and through practice to stay in alignment with that
Mm-hmm.
on a daily basis. So when we find out what those qualities are or discover them and uncover them and amplify them, then we can now position ourselves to find the right connections, the right people who we will naturally interlock with. It's not forced. And
Right.
that to me is where the divine comes in.
And divine and its power with rather than power over, which is a
Yeah.
central theme of our collaboration and my invitation for people. Even if you're just in curiosity and you desire to know more and understand more, this is a place where you can have those questions and throw down with your curiosity. In fact, we more than invite, what I want to convey to everyone is we desire and require your participation. So that means jump on the comments, ask some questions. Um, Also, when you come back and replay, you may see these programs with new eyes. So we're inviting you to be a part of our conversation, be a part of our exploration, our curiosity, and it's curiosity and listening that are two of the strongest pillars in mindfulness. So I'm going to jump in and just describe my understanding of what mindfulness is and take it out of the realm of the woo-woo or the touchy-feely, which it's very much a part of. But and I used to teach this originally and target new thought communities. And I consider that the lower hanging fruit. But the reality here is what became clear for me was that I was invited into a new inner inquiry and a readjustment of my trajectory, because the people who require this information the most are not the low-hanging fruit. They're the people who are anywhere from blue collar to business executive, who are immersed in a culture or work environment that doesn't value instinct or intuition, that other than values heart, that other than values a more thoughtful strategy. That's old school, and those corporate cultures and business practices are less and less effective, and they are in I believe a state of entropy. So what we're seeing emerging right now in our culture, and especially in the corporate culture, is an awakening to um, a a more intelligent, spiritually and emotionally intelligent relationship and culture building. And that's why companies like Apple and Yahoo and Texas Instruments and Aetna, the list goes on, where they have integrated mindfulness practices into their corporate culture, from executive C-suite all the way down to the ground floor and human resources. And those are the companies that are transforming. Those are the companies that are out in front right now today, who are in a space of thriving, and employee satisfaction is, those metrics are going through the roof. Dan Pink had this great talk on TED that then RSA Animate grabbed, and so they animated the talk, and it was all about the myth of motivation. And so the traditional corporate structures of motivation were the antithesis, or generated the antithesis of their outcomes. They were demotivators. So what is mindfulness? For me, mindfulness is my desire and ability to rest the entirety of my attention on one thing and leave it there and sustain it. Now, we live in a culture of massive distraction. And we're steeped in that. So with our wired world, we've got email, we've got tablets, we've got phones, boom, 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 always, always. How many people do you see during the day that are looking into their phone and not out into the world? So it's a real trick just to maintain our focus. That's why Daniel Goleman, his latest book has been a bestseller. which is titled Focus. So some people would say, well, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is when it comes to focus, when it comes to our ability to rest the entirety of our attention on one thing and sustain it there, is that science has determined that anywhere from 3 to 7% of our waking lives is devoted to being on purpose, fully awake, alive, on purpose, and embodied. The other, up to 97% of the time, our unconscious mind is at the wheel and is driving us. And so, as I talked about in the opening, think of all of the inner arguments that you've just acclimated to, this din, this noise, this static that goes on. And that becomes your filter through which you have to manage your perception of what's possible. So how does mindfulness come into the strategy and the science of sustainable change? Is that when you learn how to sit with your shadow or with your inner arguments and oppositions through your awareness without judging, you're able to recreate and transform those arguments into alignments. The more aligned and present we become, the more laser beam our focus is, and that's where we can literally, as visionaries and creatives, map and create strategies for our outcome, and then adjust our strategy and trajectory from moment to moment. So jump in, Christine. What is your understanding and your practice of mindfulness?
You know, I could literally repeat what you said, and it would share my perspective. For me, simplicity is key with me. So for my perspective, mindfulness is being in the present moment fully, mentally, physically, in all of your being. It is something that was a learned behavior for me, and it's still something that I strive to practice consciously on a daily basis, on a moment-to-moment basis. So the present moment, my favorite one-liner for mindfulness is Isaiah 46, verse 10. Be still and know. When we are still, that's where all the answers are. And a lot of us, you brought up some very great points about today's world. In such a highly connected world technologically, we are the most disconnected socially. And for me, being online, having a social presence, being a social media networking consultant, you know, my job is online, and it's a noisy environment. And without even recognizing it, we are, as you say, Gio, we're filtering information or not filtering information. Everything's just pouring in and clouding the clarity and the stillness and the answers that we're so desperately seeking. So mindfulness for me is being still and being present. And for me, I practice that through meditation, also walking with nature, breathing, and doing it consistently throughout the day so that that clarity can remain. Because without the clarity, you'll find that you're stagnant in life. You're frustrated, you're stressed. So in a nutshell, mindfulness is stillness.
Yeah, so so well said, and a great adjunct to, you know, I'm just riffing here, you know, I mean, this is, for you and I, this is one of the subjects that we are so passionate about. And I had my my dear friend Dennis, who's my housemate, who watched last week's program on the different show, the Lucid Living show, and he said, you know, 45 minutes isn't very long. So that's why this is not just one show, friends, because the reality is we're bringing the fire and we're bringing this conversation and we're building every week on the conversation. So again, starting next Tuesday night, we're going to start mapping and sharing with you a roadmap that whether you play with Christine directly or not, just by using these programs, you can use it as a resource and learn and explore and play at your own speed, your own pace, and equal to your desire. So some of the components that we're going to talk about in the future, and I intimated a little bit about that in the open, what is commitment. This is a great example. We're coming up on the holidays. And so a lot of times our whatever discipline we have and that commitment gets put in the back of the cupboard because we're going to be, having Thanksgiving dinner and we're going to be doing parties and everything. And Christmas and New Year's and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and all that stuff. So January 1st comes around and we have this meme of new year, blank canvas, new start. And so we're sort of steeped in this tradition of making new commitments. And how many people do we know, or ourselves, and we're standing in our mirror, and I might say, I am going to sign up for the gym and I'm going to go all year long for the next 2 weeks. And so commitment in the way of mindfulness is not only organic, but it's strategic. Whatever your goal is, it starts with a spark. And the reality here is that you have the same ability to imagine and create, as I said before, as great leaders, visionaries, champions, maestros, masters. So you start with a spark, and you keep your eyes on the prize. That's your mindfulness. But your commitment is to feed your vision mindfully every day. So what does that look like? Well, the strategy is you are human, and we know neurologically that when we stretch past our familiar, that because our brain is wired for familiarity and is wired for a negative bias, which means because of our survival mechanisms, our brain, or the lizard brain, sorry, I just goobered out there for a second. Because of our ancient survival mode, it's much easier for us to ingrain a negative experience or habit. So one of my favorite authors, Dr. Rick Hanson, who wrote Buddha's Brain, has a new book out called Hardwiring Happiness. And so part of mindfulness is, one, sitting with the shadow that comes up, learning how to sit with what is and what is active, rather than, and this is power with again, rather than reacting to or having a negative narrative or any narrative, we approach what is active from a space of pure curiosity. And when we're in that state of identification, those patterns that ruled us from the dark, murky sea of our unconscious mind are brought up into the blazing light of our awareness in our hearts. And to quote one of my friends and mentors, Robert Tennyson Stevens, who taught me conscious language, no shadow, no fear, no grief, no sadness, no anger, no rage, no depression, no anxiety, no apathy can live and survive for even a minute in the blazing fire of your mindful heart, period. So in the process of self-liberation in a practice of mindfulness, it is much more about the being than the doing. And that's something that people really have to adjust to, the idea that instantly we have a knee-jerk reaction. We need to do something. The reality is we just need to sit with it and be curious. So commitment. We commit, and when we have a human moment, we simply sit with and be present to the reality that, all right, we just went on pause, so I'm going to recommit. I'm going to return to my breath, or I'm going to return to my vision, or I'm going to return and recommit to my action cycle. What would you like to add to that, Christine?
Yeah, I'm bookmarking in the corner. There's so much in this conversation. Are we bringing the fire or what?
Yeah.
You touched on the new year, and everything that we do should be literally each moment to a conscious level, to the best of our ability. And I had to reframe and reprogram so much of my status quo thinking prior to embarking upon the self-discovery journey. And the new year was something that I definitely had to reprogram. Because let's face it, as you said, Gio, we set these resolutions, and by maybe about February, they start fading to black. And we mean well. However, as you say, they're the shadows that I call it resistance that prevents us from following through with that commitment. So for me, what I practice now, and I share that with my family and network online, is celebrate each new day. Happy New Day rather than Happy New Year. Sure, we can celebrate a new year, but why not celebrate a new day, a new minute, a new moment? I mean, in a moment, we can change our state and our mindset and create whatever vision we have in our heart. So being consistent is what came to mind with what you said. Now, when it comes to playground and playing around and being curious, that speaks and sings to my heart. My favorite Picasso quote, Pablo Picasso, is, "The creative adult is the child who survived."
Amen.
And I love that, because too many of us, we grow up and we put on this hat called intelligence. We trade our crayons for big pens, and we call ourselves intelligent. And we lose every fiber of our joy, our curiosity, our unlimited potential and vision is just squashed. And so for me, the best part of this journey is returning to that inner child, being fun and spontaneous and curious and looking at things differently. And like you said, this is why companies who have embraced this kind of lifestyle or adopted this mindset for their corporate culture, their company culture, these are the companies that are truly blazing the trail in today's marketplace. So as entrepreneurs, we can do the same thing. We have the ability to freely express our individual selves. And it starts with being curious and playing on this playground, this new playground.
Amen. Yeah. Bring in the fire, girlfriend. Yes. Man. All right. So who needs caffeine when you got CLB in the house? That's what I'm saying. I couldn't have said it better, Christine. And I really appreciate and value your perspective. You bring so much to our conversation, and I'm pretty clear I'll probably be up writing half the night just because I'm so jazzed and inspired by the fact that we're starting a conversation that is necessary. It's really, really necessary. Now, we're getting down to towards the end of the show, so we're going to have to wrap. I see that Rain has a comment. Throw that up, Rain, if you would. And I want to invite everyone to stay for the final segment, which is your playground. And I don't see the comment pinning up. So Christine, a final invitation to inspiration.
Wow, the time goes so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. My sandbox on this playground looks like divine partnership. One of my favorite selfie quotes is, "Isolation breeds discombobulation. Collaboration breeds inspiration." So while solitude is definitely key, the first step, if you will, in the process of the journey, being still, being in solitude, connecting with the divine, we amplify that. We put it into fruition, if you will, by partnering with the right people. So my invitation and call to action is to join us on the playground. There
Yes.
are no rules. As Gio said earlier, they're guidelines. And
Mm-hmm.
those guidelines are gentle, generous, boundless. The possibilities are endless. The only way we can know who the divine connections are is if we start to connect. So my call to action is always let's connect and explore the possibilities together.
Amen. And I want to echo that before we move into your new playground, which is, I predict, is going to be a toe curling favorite segment of at least one person out there.
At least.
Yeah, I'm really lowering that bar. Let's just say everybody's toes are curled. And everybody who's with us tonight, you're curling our toes. Holy cow. You know, that's why you're so important, because just me being here with you and me being with Christine and Rain is me being in my outcome, my fulfillment, my vision. And that sets my vision on fire. That's why I know, I need to go to the corner store and get a new pen, because I'm going to run out of ink tonight for sure. So it's really important to echo what Christine mentioned. I've been, like everyone else, I've been in a time crunch. So, friends, know this. You can find uh, Christine's link in her description to her website. You can find mine in my description, and we're inviting you to enter into a conversation, to be curious, if you are curious, or if you have a desire and fire to discover a new way to create sustainable change outside of the old battleground of suffering and doubt and struggle. And so I enroll my friends in this meme, and especially my client partners, and I'm enrolling all of you in this grand idea, okay? On our new playground, there are only two ways we play, people. One is easy, and the other is easier. So pick one. Um, so a programming note, we're going to toss it over to the Jess and Scott and you show, just pretty much a shout out to them. Um, get on Google Plus, find their show. I'm going to be over there while I'm working comments. I've got two screens. If I had three, I would be the poster child for ADHD tonight. But I can manage two, I'm pretty sure. So support our friends. They're having extraordinary conversations as well. Um, Again, our invitation is engage us in conversation and comments. Know that any of your questions that we missed today in the program, I'm going to be, and Christine will be engaging with you this evening and ongoing tomorrow. We invite you to share this program with your friends and families, with your fellow pluser knots out in the new playground of space and time. And now it's time, friends, for welcome to your new playground. I just need to drink this moment in for a second.
I feel you on that.
Yeah. We're opening an invitation to join us here and now in and on our new playground with one of my favorite quotes from the 18th century English poet Alexander Pope. The way of the creative works through change and transformation, so that each thing receives its true nature and destiny and comes into permanent accord with a great harmony. This is what furthers and what perseveres. All too often, our dreams and visions and goals become sidelined try after try, go after go, they seem to become more fuzzy, ill-defined, less and less likely over time. So what dreams have you forgotten or forsaken? There is an unmistakable call and a requirement now in this time and place for you, the dreamer, to awaken from the past, to awaken from the hallucinations of limitations and separation, of giving your consent to what seems the burdens of time and space, those being your former imagined rules of reality, like the walls of a room too small for you to truly breathe or move in. This time we are living in right now, friends, of greatest potential and greatest risk, is calling you up and calling you out to breathe new life into yourself, to call yourself back into the realms of the visionary, the creative, the imagineer, the dreamer, and the maker. The way of the visionary creator and creative is in many ways the way of the warrior and the hero. Be you woman or man. Both face and live with the possibility of death and of failure. And along their uniquely singular journeys, they learn to love, honor, and respect their shadows of doubts and fears. They make friends with death and failure, making friends in peace with every aspect of their shadow. To willingly stand in the blazing light of your heart's sun, in the illumination that comes from feeding and following your visions to fruition, you indeed will cast your shadow along the way, for it is the eternal companion of the hero, the warrior, the dreamer, and the visionary creator. This is the time of your remembrance. This is the time of summoning your courage to return and give new life and breath to your greater purpose and calling. If not now, when? If not you, whom? This is your time, friends. This is your space and place of self-resurrection and return. Our invitation to you this day, from me, Christine L. Bowen, and Rain Dowell, is to be and embody the awakened dreamer, the warrior, the hero, and maker you were born to be. Climb high, casting the shadow of your courage and vision long and far along your journey. You are here now, after all, to claim your original authority and the authorship of your new life and living, period. Thank you for being such an important part of our conversation and our explorations here live and in the replay and in our comments and with your calls. Welcome to your new playground. Welcome, friends, to your next and greatest adventure. Tune in next week as we begin mapping the specific skills, traits, and mindful mindsets modeled by all great leaders, champions, maestros, and masters. I am your host, George E. Green, and this is your Mindfulness Advantage. Good night, everybody.